Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Kensington Corner. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Tom.
And tonight we're here at Alchemy Coffee in Lawrence, Kansas. Tom?
Yeah, so today we decided to bring Ben Farmer on to explain, a little bit about the best coffee shop in Lawrence. How many years running now? 4 years running, best coffee shop in Lawrence. I met Ben basically through a mutual friend, Chris, who owns Athletic Strength Institute, that was on episode 3, 4?
Yeah.
Who knows? Jeez. And had reached out to Ben, wanted to do some stuff. I love the coffee shop here, and I've always been super interested in it. So I wanted to know kind of how it came about and how he formed the idea in his head, more or less. So Ben, go ahead, take it away.
How much time we got?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gosh, where to start? Alchemy. My God, it's been my entire life. It always cracks me up every now and then. I'll run into somebody that's like, so once they found out that I'm the owner or something. So do you work anywhere else? I'm like, do you really think I have time to do anything else? Yeah, no, it's so we just passed 6 years. Started it when I was 26, which everybody's always surprised to hear for some reason.
Because they think small business is like an old man's game, I think.
I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Or that you're 26 and shouldn't be successful, which is weird.
Thank God I didn't start it when I was older, because I was just, the first 3 months I literally worked, and I'm not exaggerating, 20 hours a day, every single day. Hour and a half, 2 hours of sleep was doing good.
I'm convinced most people have no idea how difficult and time consuming and just like at times soul draining owning your own business could be. I've never owned my own business, and full disclosure, but my parents, they own a business south of Overland Park. They own a veterinary clinic, and they pour everything into that place. And it's, at the end of the day, you're the one that's responsible for whatever's going on. And it's, I think that there's a lot, from what I can see, there's a lot of really gratifying things about it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. When it moves forward, it's because of you. when it drops, it's because of you. That's it's so empowering and terrifying all at the same time. But usually, so far, most of my experiences, it's been so exciting, or there's just everything that I've done has just been something that I've been interested in, which has been incredibly cool, and the reason in itself to start my own business. But so yeah, it's been so, everything that I've got into has been so exciting and frontier or whatever words you want to attach to it, that a lot of times those fears I haven't really thought about until years later. Oh wow, that could have gone
terribly
way different. Just starting the original shop could have gone way different.
That's my whole philosophy in life. Be too busy to be scared.
Right.
Well, that's the thing,
I know, and that's honestly the problem that I'm running into at 6 years is it's starting to get to a point where this is starting to hit a little bit of cruise control. This new shop, it's been open for a year now, and we've finally got staffing and routines in place and all that stuff, and it's in somewhat of a groove now.
Right.
And I have just a hair bit of energy, like 10 or 15 hours a week that I could devote to something else. And it's like, where do I go now?
Yeah, no, I have that problem. That's part of the reason with the podcast, but Jeff and I are both similar with the fact that we almost get anxiety from being bored. Yeah, we're all the time. This guy puts in more hours in the library than anyone I've seen, but we're the same, is that we're constantly wanting to do something. That's the thing too, is the podcast is nothing like owning a business like this. But when I talk to people, they don't quite seem to understand that it takes time to edit the transcripts. It takes time to get the editing done. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of planning to meet with people. Just with you, we've been trying to set up a month. It's hard to work around people's schedules who actually have jobs and are actually trying to do things. And I think
it's just hard to do anything. I feel like that's the missing thing for so many people, is that they just anything you want to get off the ground, if it's a podcast, a YouTube channel, a brick and mortar business, anything you want to do is insanely hard to get off the ground. Well, and it takes luck and timing and
most people I think just go into a field out of college or out of grad school, and they take for granted that they're just putting an application on Indeed, and they're getting hired. And to them, that's not difficult, but that's how life is. And so they've never gone through getting an LLC. They've never gone through getting copyrighted. They've never having to go through any of the forms with the state government to do any of these things, getting their business cards
one
up,
of those people.
Getting T-shirts up.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just it's little things that people don't think about when you're constantly communicating with other business owners because you're trying to make yourself successful. And they don't see that. They don't see the business side of things. That's hard.
Well, and I think it's also a product. I've been thinking about this actually very recently about how worthless. Like I don't even know if I had an econ class in high school. I took some stuff in college, obviously, but how I wish that they would just like do a basic breakdown on like markup and margins and stuff like that, because I don't know how many people I've had come in to, my store and be like, man, you must just be killing it. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's doing pretty well. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, you're selling $4.50 coffees all day long.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, but I got overhead and I got product costs and I got this and that. And they're like, oh, wow, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I never thought about how 90% of that goes back to overhead.
And I mean, everybody thinks, you're the owner, so you're just sitting in it, raking it in, right?
Rich.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
The truth of the matter is you're the one putting in more hours, more,
I feel like
blood, sweat, and tears into the place. And
well, and I felt like in a lot of ways, even though the name and the original store was a conjuring of my ideas, I feel like in a lot of ways I'm just a shepherd to the whole entire situation. I mean, there's so many things about it that ultimately I'm kind of powerless over. The market, for example, this just people coming in the door. Ultimately, I'm pretty powerless over all that. So, and ultimately too, like especially at this point to where it's grown, really, I'm just the guy driving the wheel. I'm not the boat, like I'm just part of it at this point.
Well, I mean, but your evolution has been cool to watch too, because coming from, the small shop over on 19th, to out, is it 19th? Yeah. To out here. Yeah. And then even watching, I'm very big on social media as far as like watching trends, but watching your guys' social media input here in the last probably 7 months has been kind of cool too. Like, you can kind of tell that you're getting it. That what I'm saying? Like a lot of the bakery stuff you guys been putting up with the coffee here or there. It's really eye catching. Like I'm all the time like, man, that looks cool. I do the same thing with LBC. You guys probably have the two best Instagrams in Lawrence as far as business wise. I have a problem with I'll get on something and I'll be scrolling and I'll be like in the middle of doing something and I'll see like a coffee or something you put up and I'm like, well, I should probably go to Alchemy.
Yeah,
I do it all the time.
You wouldn't believe how often he'll like just middle of the afternoon, like he'll be like, let's go to Alchemy.
Yeah. I'm glad it's working, man.
Hey.
And I do see that work. Because honestly, like when I first opened, I think the first year or so, I managed pretty much all our social media stuff. I was pretty much managing everything, so it wasn't really an option. But then after that, Joni, my wife, that's when she really started diving into, that's when we opened the bakery and everything started taking off with that. And she it was like a slow transition over like a year where I just kind of quit doing it and she started doing it. And then for like 4 or 5 years there, you'll notice on her Instagram, it's pretty much like all food. Like it is because she was managing it and that's what she was working on. And it made sense. We weren't putting out a whole lot of, we were putting out new stuff on the bar side, but I wasn't like developing like ground shaking new things all the time. So,
no, but you guys do have things that other people don't have. One of my like just one favorite beer, because I can't do multiple of, was the Grateful Dead one you guys had. Was it Dogfish?
I think it was Dogfish.
You guys had Dogfish Grateful Dead on tap?
Yeah.
I was like, I tried that here, and I was like, that's amazing. No, I don't remember anybody else in town having that.
Yeah, and I guess I should. On the coffee front, there was a lot of stuff that happened there, and I'm kind of glossing over it because it's just been enough time, and there's enough things that have happened since then that it's just kind of in the catacombs of my brain at this point. But I mean, yeah, we were like first in. I think we were one of only 6 that I know of in the country to do nitro coffee.
Jeff's a big fan.
The only other one I really knew of was Cuvée down in Austin, and then I know that's who I actually saw it from first. They had social media posts or something. And then there's a couple East Coast, West Coast, and I'm not going to be able to do them justice because I don't know their names. But
Jeff's a big fan of your nitro brew.
Oh,
yeah,
my gosh.
But we were one of the first to do that, which was really cool. And in Kansas City area, we were the only ones doing it for like 3 or 4 years. So that was really exciting to be on the forefront of that. And then cold brew in general. I mean, that was kind of one of those. The original shop and cold brew were just like right time, right place opportunities that I'm so lucky to have had.
And because it does not get much better than your guys' cold brew. I will say that much.
Yeah.
Like
I use your cold brew in my protein shakes.
Nice. Yeah, so do I. Yeah, I drink like 8 ounces of them every morning. So I'm like,
my therapist told me I have to cut back on the coffee,
right.
so I'm doing well.
Yeah,
no, we've.
I started doing it too because I went to Chris one day and I was like, dude, like I don't know if it's the training or the coffee. I'm freaking out. You know,
heart's racing.
I think you're giving me too much volume. I don't know.
Well, Jesse, I mean, we've talked about it. Especially since we started intermittent fasting more, we cut back on coffee because you're drinking it in the morning. But Jeff and I were like, how much do you think we were drinking a day?
Dude, we would have like 2 or 3 pots some mornings. Like, I mean, we'd sit there for 90 minutes and mow down like 2.5 pots of coffee. Like, it was getting bad.
And then get another one after.
It's bad. You know, it's really bad. You know, you're drinking too much coffee when like you don't even like, it doesn't even give you a jolt anymore. It's like,
when you're doing it for recreation.
You're fiending basically.
Yeah. Well, you know how, have you had our pour overs? Like, yeah. So the way I do it, it's where I started in coffee really, and it was like the thing that I probably only second to cold brew I've been the most obsessed with. And so anyway, I found this method, and basically we can extract it. I've never been able to run the caffeine content, but I know the extraction is extremely well on it.
Right.
And there was a point that first year or two, like I said, I was working just nonstop, that I was drinking like 6 to 8 of those a day, which and then we started doing espresso, and I know that was something I could really quantify because I know there was a point there where I was drinking at least a dozen shots of espresso a day. Crap. Just because, I mean, it was just working it and tasting it, and I was excited about it.
See, that reminds me of Italy, though. That's how they do. Like, you know, when I was shadowing in the hospital, the doctors would just about every 45 minutes would be like, well, it's time for, you know, a cappuccino and a cigarette. And I was like, we just had one. What are you? And they're like, it's time for another. And you're like, all right.
That was 45 minutes
and they were
ago.
having 12 in a day, like it was nothing. And I was like, I am dying. And I was in the surgeries just shaking, just about to explode. And I'm like,
supposed to cut somebody.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, I went to my therapist. What was it? 6 months ago, I guess now. And she was like, how many? I probably hadn't done that much. 3 months. But she was like, how many ounces of coffee do you think you're drinking a day? And I was like, 96. And she was like, you're not supposed to have more than 12 before noon. And I was like, yeah, I drink 96 throughout the day. So she got me cut down, and I actually did.
That you think you drank that much coffee throughout the day?
Easily. Ooh, I mean, think about how many of those 16 ounces I killed. Yeah, easily.
Yeah, I got tired of. Well, actually, the thing that's made me cut back the most, I mean, there's been multiple times over the last 6-7 years where I'm like, I gotta chill out, and I, like force myself to chill out. But here recently, I can't remember where I heard it, but somebody was just, I love listening to like diet and nutrition advice and then going and try it myself. And one of them was talking about how caffeine just, causes you to uptake anything that you eat, any nutrients that are in your stomach, basically, so much quicker. And how pairing caffeine with carbs is why you get that insane crash in the morning.
Right.
Which I wasn't really having crashes in the morning because I wasn't really eating the carbs in the morning, but I would always get lunch and then be like, oh, I need a coffee to pick me back up.
Yep.
And then be like, God, I'm fucking dead. And so there for a while, I tried to cut out carbs in the afternoon. And anyway, all I did, cut out coffee in the midday, and now I'm great. Yeah, I go eat a giant bowl of rice, and I'm happy.
Yeah, anymore, I'm kind of the point where I haven't drank coffee regularly now for probably about 2 months. but it's like it's nice, you know, being back in that stage where like I had a little bit of the 3-2 flu this morning, and so I got up and the first thing I did was I pounded a coffee, and I was like, God, that's the stuff right there, you know.
Whereas if you're drinking it daily, it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, so you kind of really, I like that aspect, having something to go to when you need that pick me up. And
yeah, I've pretty much just got to the point now where it's like a pint of water first thing when I wake up, and then I drink like 6 ounces of cold brew and go to the gym.
Yeah, I do this. I do this thing now where I haven't really been drinking that much coffee, but that's what I do. I drink basically lemon and Himalayan salt in the morning with water, and I'll pound 2 glasses of that, and then I know that I'll be okay. You know, after that. Jeff was making fun of me the other day. Well, it's been about a month ago because I ordered these. What do you? I call them human chargers, but it's basically headphones that you wear while you do yoga that emit like blue light rays in your ears to make it feel like you're outside.
Really?
Yeah. He makes fun of me for these things. I'm all the time doing weird stuff, but it makes it feel like it tricks your brain into thinking that you're outside.
Right.
And so obviously then elevates mood. You're not getting the vitamin D, but you are at the same time.
Yeah.
Or you could just go outside.
Yeah, but in Lawrence it's weird, man. Some days it is. I mean, the weather in Kansas. If I lived in Peru or Costa Rica, I'd probably be outside daily. I don't know. Lawrence weirds me out.
Man, that just like that baffles me. Like you want to drag me into the sauna after we work out where it's 130 degrees, but you don't want to go outside when it's 90.
No, just in Lawrence though. I mean, just being outside, like the homeless guy that waved at me in the trees and stuff. I just don't want to. I went outside like 5 a.m. one day. I was walking over to ASI, and I just hear from the trees. Well, from somewhere I didn't even know. I just hear someone go, "Hello." It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. It's dark. This was in the winter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This was in the middle of winter. So it's like 12 degrees outside, freezing. And I'm like, what is happening? He goes, hope you have a good morning. And he talked just like that. And I was like, what is going on? So I finally am like looking around. I'm walking. I'm like, okay. And I turn, and then right next to my loft is 3 like big pine trees. Yeah. He's just sitting in the middle Indian style looking at me through the trees. I was like, well, that's why I don't do yoga outside. Yeah. Like, yeah, that's it right there.
That's just part of the character of Lawrence.
It is. Yeah. We love it. We absolutely. I've done that one. What was the other one? Oh yeah, I was lifting at ASI. I had my shirt off, and I felt like somebody was staring at me. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I look up, and the garage door. There's just a homeless guy standing there staring at me. I was like, geez.
Yeah. Now, see, I would have different feelings about this if I wasn't 6'6".
That's how I feel. Yeah, if I was a 5'5" like female, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's funny. I actually texted Jeff like I did that most hilarious thing happened to me this morning. But if I was somebody else, that would creep me out.
Something that's taken so many years of adult life to realize like how much differently I look at the world from say my wife, who's like 5'10" and pretty, like and skinny little thing. Like she never dreams of going down an alleyway at night, and I'm like, let's go check out the alleyway. What could it go wrong?
I'm kind of, it's weird, like even going to countries overseas and stuff, I'm almost naive to the fact that there's danger in a way, because nothing's ever happened to me in a social setting. I mean, even being Iraq, Afghanistan, there was fear there, but there was never overwhelming, like, oh, somebody's going to rob me or somebody's going to stab. I've never felt like that before in my life. I hardly ever feel like that.
I've had just a couple of expberences like that, just enough. But
I lived in Louisiana for a number of years, and being in Kansas, like after you've been around in some of those places down south, like it's just and they're really, I mean, like legit, like I mean, Baton Rouge is one of those towns. Like I always felt like if I was gonna be in Baton Rouge, I wanted to make sure I had my gun in my truck with me. Like I mean, but I mean, I don't feel that Lawrence is. I mean, it's different than anywhere else in Kansas, but I mean, just kind of Kansas in general. I don't really
it's different. Yeah,
I think maybe there's definitely still some places downtown.
The main thing, the only thing you really got to watch out for around here is just like people that are off their meds.
Really, absolutely.
Like, the majority of people around here, even then, there's plenty of ones that. I mean, I pass on the street corner every day, and they're talking to I don't know who, but they're not hurting anybody.
They don't bother anyone.
That's probably Tom.
Most of the time, it's probably me handing out my business cards.
It could be.
I handed out so many business cards last night drunk to people.
You're shameless, man.
I was like, check out the podcast. It's great. There you go.
What? Do you have your own T-shirts yet?
They're coming.
Yes.
I'm doing a collaboration with LFK Press.
Okay.
So it'll have our logo on the front, LFK Press on the back. Leslie down there has been phenomenal. We have 3x2.5 stickers coming, buttons. We're doing the shirts with them, white, black to start off with. I was hoping to get it done before this because we were going to do some pride shirts for this month, but I think we'll start off there and see how it goes. But
did you say LFK Press?
Huh. It's on. It's right around the corner. It's
Don't look at me.
No, what's past New Hampshire, Connecticut, or New York, or because it's not Pennsylvania. There's like New York, New Jersey. It's like 8th in New Jersey.
Okay.
It sits around the corner, right next to Kennedy Glass.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right there.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I sent one, and this is not a slam against Alchemy at all. They just do a lot of like big press things, and they were wanting me to order 600 shirts to start off. Yeah, to start off with, and then I was like, well, could we do 100? And they're like, yeah, we could do 100, but the price goes up $12.
Right.
And I'm like, no. So I hit Leslie up. She was like, well, let's do at the price Acme was going to do 600 for. Let's start out with 25.
Nice.
At that price. And I was like, yeah. And then so I was like, hey, do you mind? Let's do a collaboration. You throw your like logo on the back. And she was like, yeah, I would appreciate that. I was like, yeah, please do it. Like, do whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
Because with us, we're very big on. I mean, we like, last week we did one that was outside of Lawrence, but we're very big on highlighting businesses in Lawrence that we feel like we use and people that we think can get notoriety in some way from what we do.
And I think too, just businesses that, kind of exemplify, the Lawrence community as well, And I think that's always, at the forefront of kind of what we're trying to do, and we're making those connections. And,
because Alchemy is very Lawrence.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, which is funny. Well, I'm curious, what has your experience been with, people's backgrounds and stories that other small businesses that you've spoke to in Lawrence? Like, are they Lawrence people, or are they people that moved here, started a business?
Let's see. I think they're people that moved here and started a business. Is Andy from Lawrence?
I don't know, honestly.
Andy's from another planet. To be honest, Andy's from another planet. So
no, Andy's from. I know Andy personally. He's from somewhere at the Central Kansas maybe or something.
But so I think a lot of it. But the one thing that you see in Lawrence is that people start these businesses and they don't stick. Though there's a ton of businesses en masse going out of business now. A lot of property, the guy trying to build over there by Mass Street Soda, whatever that was. So I think a lot of the times you see a lot of old businesses that stay here, Brown Shoes, things like that. But as far as new businesses coming up, I mean, I don't know how long Genovese was here, but it turned to 1856. La Perilla shut down.
Yeah, they've been around for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
A restaurant group.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Zinzero and La Perilla.
Yeah, I love Zinzero. I just ate there the other night.
Yeah, no, I was just curious because that's been I've never done any sort of real data on it or anything, but that's been my experience too. It seems like most people I run into are not from Lawrence, and I think that's just a product of just like a lot of people I've met that have grown up here don't really, they love Lawrence. This is home, but they don't really.
It's kind of a Kansas thing, though. Like, if you're from Kansas, that's your number one goal is to get somewhere else. Like,
right, exactly, exactly. And that's what I'm getting at. Is that I think a lot of people that grow up here are like, let's go somewhere else, and I don't blame them.
I don't either. I mean, but being from North Carolina, and then when I got orders to come here from Alaska, I did not want to come to Kansas. And even living in Manhattan, I thought that was interesting. It has its own little niche. It's different, But I came out here for a visit to the university to see if this is what I wanted to do. Absolutely love it. I absolutely love Kansas City. Yeah. I like being so close to the airport that today's Wednesday. If I wanted to be in Belize Saturday morning, I could fly there for $300 from Kansas City. That intrigues me, that excites me, and I think living in this area for me, that's one of the big things is I can stay grounded in Lawrence and then still be able to operate, in other parts of the world.
That's something that I kind of take for granted, the whole entire airport thing. I've only thought about that a few times. Like, God, if I lived in Chanute, I would have to, drive 3 or 4 hours to get to the airport or something. And I've always lived in Kansas City area pretty much. I mean, I've bounced around the country, but come back. And that's part of the reason why I came back, because this is such a great, like, for instance, the last place that I was before this was, I lived in Kansas City, but before that, California. And just the insane cost of living. I mean, my brother's out there right now, and he's got a great job and all that stuff, but it's still the cost of living is so insane that I realized that real quick, and I was like, man, I had it good in Kansas, I can come back here, set up roots, buy a house, have a family, start a business, do all that stuff, and then eventually, hopefully, be able to jump on a plane every couple of months and go travel. And actually have the budget to be able to do that. Without being a millionaire.
Well, it's too, if you look at the flights around the country and then you compare them to Kansas City, it's expensive. Like, I mean, flying, I'm from North Carolina, so if you want to go to Colorado, or you want to go even Las Vegas or Salt Lake or anything, you fly from Carolina, it's expensive. But flying from Kansas City is not bad. I mean, Kansas City to Denver is like $80. Like, that's crazy. Like, it's not bad at all.
The only place I would rather, like, region in the Midwest I'd rather be for that reason would be down around like Dallas, Fort Worth. So many of the flights go out there, and it is cheaper.
That's where Bill, who owns Optimal Wellness, the cryo spa, that's where he lives in Dallas.
See, I don't want to live in Dallas.
No,
I have family down there, and it's just not for me. But it's just too.
I've never lived in Dallas, but I've spent a lot of time in Dallas, and I don't see that as being an area I could. I think I could live there, but it'd be a short stay, like maybe a year or two. I mean,
I grew up just south of Olathe, just south of Kansas City, and
where at?
175th and Lone Elm.
I grew up on 351st and Plum.
Yeah. Okay. Well, a distance out there,
pretty close.
Similar area.
Pretty close.
Similar upbringing.
Yeah, exactly. I went to high school at PAULO, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh God, we hated you guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We're Spring Hill. Yeah. What year did you graduate?
04.
Oh shit. Yeah.
You and I probably played football and basketball against each other, all sorts of stuff.
I'm sure we were at some of the same.
That's wild. That's a small world.
God. Oh yeah, that class that was above me, the 04 class, they got in a bunch of fights with a bunch of your class. And
sounds about right. Sounds like my class.
Do you remember that? They had it was like, Grease or something, everybody walking up snapping, but everybody towing around and getting in fights. I thought about that the other day, actually.
my class was always doing something dumb. So.
That class above me was the same way. So you guys were a pair.
That is wild. That's really wild.
But so anyway, I grew up out there, and it was, it was kind of, more so where you were, but it was kind of the country when I was growing up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And then, that suburban sprawl hit all through the late 90s and early 2000s, and it went from farm trucks in the parking lot at the high school to Navigators and Escalades, and just a totally different shift. And I grew up very my side of the mountain and where the red fern grows, and all those books were like my Bibles. I loved playing out in the woods. That's all I did. All that typical stuff. And so watching that suburban sprawl come in and just demolish all that and change the landscape and everything else, it just made me hate the suburban culture. I mean, hate is an extremely strong word. I don't care if anybody else does it, but not for me.
I totally get the appeal of the whole suburban thing, but it's so soulless.
Yeah,
I don't think I can do it.
It just does not scratch it. And I see a lot of people that I knew, grew up with, and all that stuff. They're extremely happy.
Oh, absolutely,
kids, all that shit. Not for me. But and that being said, it's funny because I'm either urban, I could live in Chicago, or right now I live in East Lawrence. It's not exactly urban, but it's city. Or I want to be up Tonganoxie. But I don't want to be in West Lawrence. I don't want to be in Central Lawrence. I don't want to.
No, Jeff and I made a joke a few weeks ago about West Lawrence, though, is that basically it's gentrification of the Alchemist, because they were like, I'm going to build a whole nother city away from these weirdos. And Jeff and I because we don't go to West Lawrence. I mean, the cryo spa. I mean, I shadow some doctors over there, but we don't go over there. We don't have any reason to go over there. So, but it's like a whole nother town, and
it really is. Like you get on the other. I don't know where would you draw the line? Is it
right past Iowa going?
I think it's a little further west.
It is. It is.
It is. It's like two different worlds.
It is. It's a whole nother world out there.
To me, West Lawrence is definitely past Iowa, or I could even draw it back to like old West Lawrence.
Yeah,
I mean, to me, that's where it changes.
Yeah,
that's where you get a totally different feel, different houses, all that stuff.
Yeah, you do.
But that being said, I mean, I have a lot of friends out there. It's not like.
No,
it's not like I think of them as a different species or anything. Really, to me, the only thing that confuses me about them is like, how do you stand being in your car that much? Like, I hate, I hate going out there and like, I'm going to the grocery store, and then if I want to go to the place across the street, I have to get in my car and drive across the street. That's freaking insane.
Yeah.
No, it's wild. Like we went out and had breakfast out there
not too long ago.
Yeah, like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was like. Literally, by the time from where I live, by the time I get out to West Lawrence, as the traffic is bad, I could almost be in Olathe.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
Yeah,
we have to plan. We have to plan to get there.
Right? Yeah, I know. Well, Joni always laughs at me. My wife always laughs at me whenever we have to do something in West Lawrence, because I'm always like, "Oh my God, are you kidding me? Well, we better leave now." And she's like, "You just chill out, like it's no big deal."
Yeah, no, that's how I am. We'll say things all the time. Like we ate at Jordan and I ate at Salty Iguana the other day, and I was like, I got to drive all the way to Salty Iguana, and she was like, "It's like 3 miles." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's like 30 minutes."
It really takes 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it may be 3 miles.
I can get to Olathe in 25 from my doorstep.
Yeah,
that's one of the weird things about Lawrence. So there really is no good way to get around Lawrence.
Well, it's because of traffic.
Yeah.
You know, we lift at Crunch now, you know, and if I leave here, if I take 23rd, it's crazy. If I take 9th to Iowa now, it's crazy. And I'm like,
and they got everything torn up over there. Like,
I've just turned into
a mess. Iowa's a mess.
I've just turned into one of those, like, I don't know what it is. I guess it's like a small town mentality of like, fuck it, I'll get there when I get there.
Yeah. And
I'm literally that. Joni's always like, you drive like an old man now. It's so ridiculous. And I used to be like a FedEx driver. Like I can drive.
Yeah.
You know, I've been through like 3 driving schools. I like to talk about that. I love cars. I love driving fast, all that fun stuff. But yeah, now it's a
sign of maturity.
I'm like the 20 mile an hour driver.
Did I see you in a 1970 Ford pickup not too long ago?
75.
Yeah.
It's a Ford.
I couldn't see. Well, because you know, and they that's what 70. What year changed the grill? One of them has the split grill, and I can't remember what years. I had a '79 Super Cab named Nancy.
I think it was '77 or something.
Yeah, one of them changed the grill on, but I saw him driving, and I'd never seen you drive it before, and I was like, oh really? Because I miss mine a lot, and there's a blowing glass place, I think, on 8th, and he has 2 of them sitting back in beside a Mustang, and I'm like, wonder if they run. But I'm weird like that. Like Jeff knows, I almost bought
He's talking about buying a van.
Not just.
I love my van.
Not just a van though. I was going to buy a '67 Ford Econoline club wagon.
Is it that blue one over there on?
No, this one's in like Nebraska or Iowa one, but it's all white. Has like 40-some thousand original miles on it. Yeah. But it looks like not like an old ambulance, but almost. But it has slit windows on the side, and the back doors open up. You could easily fit a queen mattress in there.
Real stranger danger.
It was not at all. No, not at all.
And he sends me a photo of this thing. He's like, I'm going to buy this. Me and the dog's going to drive across the country, and I was just like. Godspeed, man. Like,
but there is one.
That's still one of my dreams.
Yeah.
If life had been taking a couple of different turns, I'd be doing that right now. I had a 85 VW Westfalia that I was on the coast in California 10 years ago.
There's a 67 Econoline for sale in Topeka, but it's purple and black. And
beautiful.
You've seen it. I showed it to you. And he's put a like a purple and black shag carpet in the back with like a bench and pillows, and I was like, man, he wants too much for it. I think if he had it for $2,000 less, I probably would have bought it because I'm gonna have to paint it. I'm gonna have to rip everything out of the back.
I was gonna say I can't do it purple.
No, there's no way. No, that white one was perfect. He wanted $6,000 for it. It just wasn't for me. I don't have anything against color.
It's
purple.
like a pink car, or yellow car, or
it just wasn't for
car.
me.
No, I'm not into it.
I just want a white one, and then I want to paint a mural of my dogs on the side and go.
That is something I hadn't thought of.
Well, because because I'm a disabled veteran, I have the National Parks lifetime pass. So I never have to pay to get in. I can just drive with it. The crazy thing is, though, when you take dogs with you, is that the state parks are actually like more accommodating to pets than the national parks are. Yeah, it's kind of weird, which I guess I understand. I mean, there's
the more you know.
Oh, the national parks get more traffic, I think, and that's why.
Oh, absolutely.
But Barrett was a puppy when we went to Yellowstone, and just watching him like try to like get out of the window to like lick the bison was just like, I was like, man, I could spend a week here easily.
Yeah, that's still my dream. My kids are 8 and 9, so I got about 9 years until I'm free. Well, even then, I got that 95 Chevy 1-ton right now, that van, and which I'm obsessed with because it's still the old body style, but it's got the new fuel-injected 350 with the 4L80.
You could easily put a bed in there,
right? Exactly. So right now it's built out. I got it spray foam insulated because I used it as a refrigerated delivery vehicle for a bit. And I haven't been doing that. So, I'm going to cut out the wall and put in a bed and build it out. And it's going to be my camper.
All right. Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Hey, man, I guess I'm the weird one.
You're the weird one. Well, I watched
just behind the times.
I watched this thing that I thought was cool because they had, he literally went to Home Depot and built a bed for like, $60 out of it. But the way he built it was a platform bed, and the way he built it, he put a futon mattress, built the platform bed, but he made the slits high enough off the ground to where he could put all his luggage and food and storage underneath.
Do you follow anybody like that on social media?
I follow. Hang on, I'll give him a little shout out.
I follow
here.
like Van Life Captain.
I follow. Let me see if I can find them. They probably got a story up. It's a couple, and they have a. They usually stay out in like Utah, I think, but they have a van that they call it like the Frankenstein van. They've definitely put some money in this thing. It has like easily ton axles on it. It's lifted a little bit. It's like super orange. What is the name of this people? Who knows? Let me go to, I know Bradford told me about it, so I'll freaking see what he said. But they're, I was looking them up, and I was like, man, and they have sponsors. They're sponsored by American Express. They're sponsored. Right. Yeah, they got real sponsors.
This is where it hit me a couple of weeks ago. Like, because it was, I guess it was just a couple of months ago that I discovered all these people doing this on social media and, making their way by sponsorships and all that other stuff. And I was just like, man, like I was in the perfect situation for that. Like it was 2000... What would that have been? 2010. So like right before Instagram and all that stuff was kind of popping off. And I was getting set up. I was in my van. I had the whole plan going. Then some stuff happened with life, and I took off in another direction. But it could have, and that was always one of my things. Like, how do I make money? And at the time, it was like, well, you got to write a blog and then hope you get advertisers.
Yep.
But now it's like, oh God. And I feel like I've kind of missed that wave a little bit.
You haven't. Honestly, you think that you have, but 5G is about to blow everything off the roof. Brianna Media is the name of theirs, and this is their van. Look at that thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. Have you seen that one yet?
I don't think so.
Take a look at it. You drive this. Maybe.
Man, I don't know if you would. Drive a van.
But you'd ride with me.
No. Not with this mustache. I can't be seen in the van. Yeah, that was the other.
I never thought I'd be into vans, but I'm definitely into vans.
I'm huge into vans.
Yeah, that's dope.
That's dope.
Yeah, see, have you ever driven one, though? Like, regularly?
I mean, no.
Okay, because that's the thing. Like, I fell in love with them, I think, when I was, like, 16, because my parents had a Chevy Astro van.
Yeah.
Best freaking van ever made. I still say that because it's got the 4.3 liter V6, which is basically 350 with the cylinders chopped off. And then it gets like 20 miles a gallon, is rear wheel drive, so you could tow with it. And it was super comfortable to drive.
Yeah.
It was like insane.
Well,
I drove that thing across the country one time. It's awesome.
The one thing about vans is that I had a buddy, Sean, who me, Sean, and Eric were all in Alaska together, and they're both ultra marathon runners. Eric's actually flying from Alaska down here in August to do a episode. He's a trail guide in Denali. So he was an Army officer that got out. Sean, when he got out of the military, he had he got out in 15. He had like a 2013 like Subaru WRX, sold it, got rid of it, bought a 19 something van, and stopped here twice. But like him and his dog would just like roll around the country doing whatever they wanted to do. And he had saved up enough money to do those kind of things. And he would work like odd end jobs. But when he came to Lawrence, like I had the whole queen bed set up. This is when I was living in the house and had like a spare bed. And he stayed in it, but it was like almost hard to talk him into. He was like, "Oh, I'll just sleep in the van."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Get in that bed right now. You've been sleeping in that van for days. Get in the bed." And he was like, "Oh, it's comfortable." And yeah, but he would instead of like eating my food, he'd want to go out to his kitchen in the van and cook. And I'm like,
yeah.
Hey man,
just cook in the kitchen, man. What are you doing?
You gotta embrace the lifestyle.
Yeah, but you do. But I don't think that you've missed that wave at all. I think that it's actually still. I think people are trying to still kind of get there, but it takes a certain person business-wise to be able to do it. Like we get hit up all the time for like random things, and we're like a brand new podcast, but we'll get hit up from just businesses that we talk to. I just had one the other day that reached out to us about it's a dog bottle. It's a water bottle, and you throw it out like that. When you throw it out, a bowl comes out of it. And then the water just goes into it. And so they were like, yeah, like, we'll send you one, like take some pictures of the husky with the bowls and send it back to, and I'm like, yeah. But
Bomba's the photogenic one though.
Yeah, he's not. He's too my Pomeranian's too black on photos. He's
you can't say that, man.
No, not like that. He's too black, his color, Jesus. But they wanted to do it. But the thing with that is that I don't mind doing it. It doesn't bother me, but a lot of people won't even entertain those because there's no money with it. You want me to sponsor your thing, which is fine, but I mean, what am I going to get, a like on Instagram or a follow on Instagram? Like, there's no financial backing that comes with that. And there's a ton of money in podcasting. I mean, the guy we interviewed last week, I mean, he retired. How old Scott say he was?
He's
54.
Yeah, I think so.
54 or in his 40s, maybe, or whatever.
I think he said he was 54.
I think he said that too. But he was making basically so much money off his 2 podcasts that he sold his business. Stays at home.
Yeah.
So I don't think you've missed that.
Yeah,
I think you have now that you have kids.
Right.
I think it's over for you now.
Yeah, that's definitely the main roadblock at the moment. But even then, I still think. I mean, that was what I was doing back then. Was I was just picking up a job here and there.
Yeah.
Like, I was working at Trader Joe's, and I think I only made $10 an hour, but that was, what was it, $1,400 a month or something like that, and it only cost me, just food basically, and gas and insurance. So
I mean,
which was like $700 or $800. So I was putting away money when I was.
What's so chumbered? I mean, he sold his car for like $20,000 and was like, I got $20,000 in the bank. All I got to pay for is gas and my own food, and I can go and sleep in national parks or state parks. I mean, there's just something appealing to me about that, to be able to, if I wanted to today, and I don't know that I would get rid of my place, but I think that if I wanted to today, take off and go to, Zion or something, or even Yosemite, and just wake up there for like a weekend. I think there's something to that, because I think that we've gotten away from being in nature. When we were going to go to Peru on June 6th, and my buddy's wife actually found out that they're pregnant, so Sean couldn't go because of the Zika concern down there. But that was we weren't even going to go to the capital. We were going to fly in the capital, fly out to Terra Proto, and hop down the river and go through the jungle for an hour and stay at this, basically a ayahuasca resort. And I think that we've gotten away from nature, and I don't think you have to be all about nature, but I think that when we're raising a group now that they don't play in the woods anymore, they don't like know things. Like I mean, even myself, like my dad, you could take my dad out in the woods and he can tell you what each tree is, or he can tell you what kind of herb that is, or what kind of weed that is. Those are things that were big back in the day. I mean, even in the Army, one of the things that you used to have to do 1890s is pass like basically a plant class. You had to be able to identify tracking and navigation through the woods and what you could eat and what you couldn't eat and what you could use and things like that. And that's so far gone. Like we don't even, that's something we don't even think about anymore.
Yeah. And beyond just, because, I always think if the world ends tomorrow, what do we got type of thing. We were just talking about, I don't know if you noticed, but like the Journal World building now is the Blue Cross Blue Shield office,
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah.
Which we just drove by and saw that the sign changed, so I don't know any more details than that. But we were just talking about, and I've gone back and forth on this over the years, but yeah, if digital everything fails tomorrow, what do we got? And we sure don't have newspapers anymore. Like that's going to be a major issue. Like, how do we get news out? We got to start up the printing press again. Well, are they here? Are they assembled still? Do we have that technology still? And just like, what are we losing to the digital age? But more so with the nature thing for me, it's just like it's like an essential part of it's like getting all my minerals. If I'm not out there, if I don't get out there at some point in the year now, like the longer I've gone in this lifestyle, the longer I can go without going completely nuts. But yeah, it's like essential for my well-being. And honestly, I think it's probably true for a lot of people. I think, we're in the best of times, but we're also kind of in like, a lot of people are very unhappy, and I kind of wonder if that's part of it. This concrete jungle, digital age that we live in.
We talked in one of the episodes about social media and just the anxiety with checking your phone first thing and doing things like that. And Jeff and I spoke about that a lot. Social media really it manipulates the mind. It makes you very self-conscious. What do you think?
Yeah. You want me to talk?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just got spaced out over here. I've just been along for the ride. You guys are talking about vans. I don't really know much about vans.
You know about vans.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Mom and Dad had a 93 Aerostar growing up.
Yeah.
Those were sexy. I love the like slanted nose on them.
Yeah, exactly. It looked like a spaceship.
Right.
But
those were right up there with the like late 80s Toyota vans.
Yeah.
You remember, you can't get those now. I was trying to, like 5 years ago, I almost bought one because I could still find them for like $2,000 or $3,000. Now they're like 10 grand.
Kid you not, I went to high school with a kid. He was a couple years older than me. His folks had one of those old Toyota vans, and I think that they put over 400,000 miles on that van before it went. And I mean, it's just like, that's what.
I think every time somebody talks about a Toyota or a Honda, that's the end story.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
500,000 miles.
Did you see that Volkswagen's coming back out with the van?
Yeah,
making the electric one.
I got us back on vans for some reason.
I know. I wanted you to talk about social media.
Health, you were talking about being outside. Yeah. And no, I that's one of the things I'm actually really bad about now is like getting enough time outside.
Everyone is.
I mean, I'm an indoor creature these days. We're halfway, better than halfway through June. I mean, I'm still looking like a reflector plate if I step outside and wear shorts or whatever. But no, I think there's a lot to that. I was actually, I don't know if it was last week. I don't know if I read it or maybe I heard something on NPR or whatever, but they were just saying just a couple hours a week out in nature, like, has tangible, measurable health benefits.
Yeah. 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes a day.
It's all you need.
I believe that.
Yeah. All you need. But, I think it's an American thing, though. I mean, when I was in Italy, I don't know. In 1 month in Italy, I spent more time outside than I do a year in America.
Yeah.
Because you're walking everywhere. And of course you're overseas, so you're exploring other places.
Yeah.
You're not in the comfort of your own home. But I mean, I had my own apartment over there, and it was very easy if I wanted to go home. But it's new and exciting things. But even here, the one thing I'm bad about is if we were in Italy and we were coming up here, I would walk from my place to here. Yeah. But because I'm only 3 blocks away. But here I get in the car and I drive the 22 seconds up here, and it's like. Why? I was thinking about that the other day because I watch people that live in my building who walk, to mass, and I was thinking about, I was like, why don't I do that? Like, I don't.
So do either of you guys live? So when I go home, I've got a couple like places that I just always have to go see, like, because they're always they're just always gorgeous, right? You go there and you're like, it's the most perfect place in the world. There's this, actually, one of the places I go, and it's not even close to where my parents live now. It's probably 30 miles away, and I will literally like drive out there to find this particular spot. It's out by the power plant by Lacine.
Yeah.
And it's just this field, and it's, just perfectly manicured grass. They mow hay out there, and it's just kind of two hills that kind of converge on the road running through the center. And it's just, I swear, it's the most gorgeous place in the world. You go there, you can't, because kind of you're tucked down in there, you can't see or hear another human being, and you feel like you're just alone in the world, and it's amazing. So, but that's probably, we need to do that. It's fine. Go look for some of those places around here.
There are some.
I know there are.
Driving out to Perry is when I was doing classes out there. I would drive out there like every Tuesday, I think I was doing. Yeah. And driving out there, it's just Kansas reminds me of Virginia in the way that you can be in the middle of town and then within 6 minutes be in the countryside. And I really like that a lot about being here. My thing now is that we're in an era of society where 80 years ago, I think you could probably just walk through wherever you wanted to walk through and nobody would really, trespassing wasn't, as long as you're not robbing people, no one cares. But today, everyone's so anxiety riddled that you're going to kill them or rob them that, walking out in the countryside now, it's almost like that doesn't happen. Like these things don't happen. I don't know. I every time I go home, I'm fearful because the Appalachian Mountains, those are going to be the people who survive the apocalypse.
That is the God's honest truth.
It is. Those are going to be the people.
They're
who
already
survive.
off the grid.
Oh yeah. They're all through. I mean, every time we drive through, driving through West Virginia in the wintertime is one of the most interesting things you can do, because as you're coming down the mountain, down back into Virginia and North Carolina, as you're coming down the highway, you can look off to each side of the mountain and you can see the smokestacks coming out from the hollers, which is basically, compounds of people just living.
Just little clusters of
it's just families. It's just families. And, that's what a holler is. You drive up the hill and each driveway is a different house for a family member. So they don't ever move that far away from each other. Those are going to be the people that when they say the South will rise again, it's those people. After the apocalypse, those people are going to come out and you're going to have some kind of weird book of something. It's going to be weird.
That's what we're going to do tomorrow, though, is go find.
Go to West Virginia?
Go find a nature spot.
I was like, we're not going to do that.
We're going to go country cruising tomorrow. It's happening.
Okay.
Well, right between here and Eudora, there's so many good country roads and stuff. That's actually a lot of times when I break out that truck now, I just go cruise out there, and
I like going out to Clinton Lake and
back on the farm.
I was driving around out there. It's probably been a couple months. I got a friend who just, I guess not just built, but I hear about a year and a half, 2 years ago, built a house out kind of to the north and east of Lawrence. And I like driving out to his place. I'll just kind of like, if I'm coming down K10, I'll just kind of hop off at whatever exit and just kind of find my way to his place. It's just get on the back roads. And there's something extremely relaxing about that too. Like,
I do that when I go home. I just go off, but I don't know, man. I think things that from 20 years ago when we were all coming up, I think that things have changed as far as a lot more, not like trash on the side of the roads. I don't mean it to like that, but things that were built in the 80s and 90s have started kind of just sitting there. Like every time I go home, I'm like driving by places that are like abandoned now, or little mom and pop shops that used to be, very vibrant are abandoned now. And so I think that I just don't, we were talking with Scott about this last week, how he was talking about basically the Oklahoma and Texas dance hall scene. And that's something that he enjoyed coming up. But those kind of things they're not part of our future anymore. And I think the further, I'm a huge fan of technology, but the further we get into it, the more those kind of things, traditional things, are going to die. You don't see family traditions hardly anymore. You don't see, and not necessarily it's a bad thing, I don't, but it's different.
Well, I mean, do you see that with your family? I mean, you got 2 young kids, right? Do you guys really strive to like build those traditions, like, I don't know, holidays or like family events? I mean, is that something you guys have incorporated at all into?
Yeah, I mean, Joni and I are both kind of Luddites to an extent. Like we both kind of, she grew up around here too, kind of similar stories to where we grew up and how we grew up and all that stuff. So we definitely have those values pretty strong in our household. So yeah, we make an effort to try to, in our crazy lifestyle, like, I mean, the last few years have been so busy with all this stuff, and really the whole, we met through this whole entire deal. So it's been awesome. Like, this has been our entire relationship has been Alchemy. So we haven't had a lot of times for the family road trips and all that fun stuff. Yeah. But we have made some times here and there, and we've managed to pull it off. And we try to, like today, we were going to go to an event up in North Lawrence, but I misread the calendar. It was actually tomorrow. So we were right there by the river, and I was like, hey, you want to go hang out by the river? So we went down there and threw rocks for an hour.
Yeah.
Just did stuff like that.
I think you got to do that sometimes, though.
So yeah, we make an effort to do it. And I think there is a possibility for kind of a renaissance in that.
Absolutely.
As more and more people go, oh crap, we're kind of stuck to our phones all the time. Maybe we should do something about this. I think you will see more and more change. And I do think there is a big change happening. I mean, you're talking about businesses going out in downtown Lawrence, and just everywhere for that matter. Like we saw in the 90s and 2000s, Walmart destroyed all the small businesses, and now the internet has destroyed retail in general. Yeah. Like, I'm sure Walmart's even hurting at this point compared to Amazon. But so I think we're going to see, for one, we've already seen the restaurant industry blow up because people are looking for experiences now. If they're going out, they're not going out to shop anymore. They're going out for an experience. So yeah, restaurants and coffee shops and bars and all that stuff were the first part of that evolution. And I think the next part's going to be, things like the axe throwing place. Like, I don't know if that's really going to, I don't know what the future of axe throwing is necessarily, but I think experience-based things are kind of going to be the new frontier for business.
Well, I agree. You got the axe throwing. And what was the rooms, the locked rooms?
Oh yeah,
that was breakout. That was a big thing for a while. And
I still hear people. I've actually never done one of those.
I haven't done it either. Yeah. I got close once.
I do think that the speakeasy scene is a big thing that I really like here in Kansas. That's coming back a little bit. There's only one in Kansas City for a while. There's a couple now. I agree with you. I think the bar restaurant scene that are unique are going to be the ones who like stand out. Like
even then, I think that's limited.
I think so?
I think at this point, I mean, there's been a huge boom going on in the restaurant bar scene here in Lawrence for the last, basically ever since I started doing this. Like, I got into this because.
Are you taking credit?
No, definitely not. I just jumped on the wave right when it was starting, But no, like when I was, part of what spurred me to want to get into this was I recognized at the time, there's only like 3 breakfast joints in Lawrence at the time, just downtown. And, and they were all booming. I worked at one for a minute and realized how much traffic was coming through. And I was just like, God dang, people were waiting an hour and a half to get a table for breakfast on a Saturday morning, So anyway, so I jumped on that. Now you got, pretty much every single restaurant in town is trying to do some sort of brunch. You got multiple new coffee shops and breakfast joints and all that stuff. So I think we're starting to see kind of I hate to say it, I don't want to be the pessimist, but starting to see kind of the top of the bubble. And I mean, I'm already seeing some places that have opened the last year start to close up and things are happening. But I think the next frontier is, for one, that experience-based thing, and then 2, once pot becomes legal federally, because it's not going to go legal in this state. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's a chance with industrial hemp. But once it goes federal, then that's going to be that's what's going to help revive downtown and fill up storefronts.
Then, too, I think that you'll be able, once it becomes legal and you can even start making like THC omelets.
Right.
It's right up my alley. I'll be in there eating.
Kind of get in the restaurant business.
No, I am a good cook though. You know that. But I couldn't do it. What you do, I could not do this.
THC coffee?
Oh, I could do THC coffee.
Not saying that I've had it,
but it's probably pretty good.
But it sounds like a good idea.
I just couldn't be you. Yeah. I couldn't be you just because I couldn't be. What you do is a ton of responsibility, man, and it's a lot of. It's a very fear jump into it kind of thing. And, restaurants are. We talk all the time. Like I won't name any names as far as business wise, but we've seen restaurants here in Lawrence put over $1 million in easily, and
it's not hard.
They're not that good.
We didn't go that high, but we definitely went over our budget.
Yeah.
And really for what we got out of it, we actually, and once I found out what some other restaurants had put in, I'm like, wow, we only spent like 60% of what they spent. And I feel like we got way better bang.
We did pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, we've been to some, and it's not talking down on them. They're okay. They're not bad.
Sure.
But it's one of those places that if you're putting $2 million into a restaurant, you definitely want to have repeat customers. Right. That building a clientele is always going to be the big thing. And when you have Jeff and I were restaurant connoisseurs.
I'm not a connoisseur of anything.
But if you go in and you say, well, there's 4 other restaurants of this genre in town that are better, I'm not going to come back here. Well, even if you're talking a couple dollars less, you're still going to go somewhere where you enjoy the food, and that was the problem with the brunch spots here in town, is that there's only 2 or 3 places that I would go for breakfast. And, I've tried other places and I'd be like, and then there's one place in town in particular that's doing, it's not cutting edge, but they do unique items, I would say. And I just don't think it's very good. And so I just don't believe, I think that people are putting too many eggs in one basket. If you know you're going to make it, that's one thing, or you're going to come out ahead, that's fine. But when you know that you're betting against the odds, that's a whole nother thing. When you opened Alchemy, there wasn't that many coffee shops in town, and now they're everywhere.
Right.
And there are people drinking that much coffee, but you're going to have people want, in businesses, people want a place they can go that feels homey, that feels that they're known. I like coming in here because I can say hey to you, the reason why you won the barista award, because people like your personality. If I'm not going to go to a different coffee shop every day of the week, that's just not, some people I guess do it, but I think for most people, I think that they want a continuum of what they're comfortable with.
Right.
And do you agree with that, Jeff? Or,
I 100% agree that, first of all, whatever product you're putting out there, is the quality of that
has to be
is the linchpin of everything. And then I think in my mind, it kind of boils down to the little things. There's a lot of, there's a couple different places, we frequent quite a bit where, we go there because they're good, first of all, but we go there because we like the people that are there. Mm-hmm. We like the people that work there. They're gonna treat you right. And so there's just so much to think about when you're, and so much I probably don't even realize, to be quite frank. You could probably give us a pretty good crash course on the little things about running a business.
Well, I think what I've seen, or at least I don't know, I think there was definitely, there's been generations of restaurateurs and all that stuff. And I think there was definitely a time period where, for one, the food culture really hadn't evolved that much. And 2, there wasn't a lot of options. So as long as you had a good aesthetic and, a decent selection, you were in business, And I think now it's just like everything, it's just got more competitive, the skills are getting more honed, and the demands and the expectations are getting higher and all that stuff. And I think, now in order to be successful, I think you got to really nail the aesthetic. I think you got to have quality products, whatever grade of product that is, it's got to be done right. And I think, you got to have good service, or else there's a dozen other options out there. So I think the saturation of the market has been frustrating to me, because it's been like every time it's just It's been like that Murphy's Law feeling. Like every time we're hitting a new level, then all of a sudden 3 other places open up, and I see a drop for a bit, and then we're just kind of like always doing that 2 forward, 1 back.
There's in your mind, do you know, with your guys' longevity, I mean, do you see that as kind of countering out, you know, the fact that these new places have to come in and you know, yeah, they have to, they're competing with you, yeah, but you know, they've got to get up off the ground, you know, those sorts of things. And I mean, you guys are a known quantity around here. I mean, so I don't.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was getting at. Was that it's been frustrating in that sense to have more competition to draw business away, but at the same time, great in the other sense that it's risen, and you know, it's made more people interested in food and in the culture in general, the coffee shop scene, whatever scene we're talking about here.
Well, you gotta just hope they come in and do it really bad so everybody sees how great your stuff is, right?
Well, and the thing is too is that it comes down to the one thing for Alchemy that I like a lot, and when you talk about products, like obviously you guys have great coffee and a great tap list, and then the nitro and the cold brew. I love the cold brew. I think it's so good. But a lot of it is the aesthetic of stuff. You know, the way that you guys have set things up and just your logo in general, you know, it draws people in. Whereas I feel like a lot of business owners a lot of people can be good at business, but they can be good at numbers, let me put it that way, but they don't necessarily understand people or the mind frame of how to get people in. And I think that a lot of times you see new businesses open up, and like I'll tell you right now, if I see there's a coffee shop that opened a few months ago here, and their logo to me just doesn't look trash. It just looks very generic. Looks like, you know, just something they made somewhere. And I was like, and I'll never stop in there. They may have the best coffee in town, but I'll never stop in there. I just won't. I never will. I don't know. It's the same like when I talk about politicians. If a politician looks slimy to me, I may never know anything that he has. Like Kobach, I didn't know anything about Kobach because I just moved here, but he looks like a snake. And I was like, he looks kind of like a slimy dude, bro. So I'm probably not going to vote for him. I don't know anything about him, but I'm not going to, because he looks slimy.
Your take on that was good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I look slimy to people. Like
you are slimy.
But I don't know. I think for me that that's what drew me here. Because even when you guys were in the old shop, Jordan's brother used to live here, and I mentioned, you know, I was like, man, I didn't even know you then. You know, I was like, man, I saw this place like Alchemy, like. And he was like, oh, yeah, like that's the spot. Go there. And I was like, cool. And then you guys opened over here. And I was like, oh, yeah, like it's on.
It's a tough business to get into for sure. I mean, the other side of business that I have the most experience in would be like construction.
Right.
And yeah, construction, you need to show up and you need to do a good job. You got to have good people, all that stuff. But yeah, you don't have to be pretty. You don't have to have a cool name. You don't have to be in the right spot at the right time necessarily. I mean, you got to hustle. But this is like, the failure rate in the restaurant business is so insane. The failure rate in any business is pretty insane, but restaurants just, and then the turnover too. That's been the other trick, is especially being in a college town, but just restaurant turnover nationally is 100% annually. I mean, it's like I think most other industries average like 20% or 30% or something. Yeah. It's a lot less. Let's put it that way. And we've been pretty fortunate. Most people I get a year and a half out of, but it takes me 3 or 4 months to train them. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Well, we talk about that too, because a lot of the restaurants we frequent in town, it's
like a carousel out there. It seems like.
Gosh, yeah. There's definitely like a restaurant crew of people that kind of migrate between whatever restaurant opens.
Oh yeah, we know. I mean, we know one person in town in general that's been at. I've been here 2 years, and I think they've been at 6 different restaurants so far.
I was going to say 6, just off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. I got one more question.
Yeah,
and we'll wrap it up, man. Why coffee?
Because I loved it. I mean, that's earlier I said, you know, everything I've done has just been something that I've been interested in. And I'm extremely fortunate in that way. You know, like there's so many days where it's like, you know, this has not made me rich. If anything, it's just made it to where I can pay the bills most of the time. And I do think if I stick with it, it's going to pay off in the long run. And that's why I've stuck with it. But ultimately I've been able to do what I like doing, which has been, I mean, not only coffee. I love coffee. I've started drinking coffee when I think I was 13. I was working at a farmer's market. I thought you were going to say something
like I was 7.
My man.
Yeah. Started smoking Marlboro Lights, drinking coffee about 7.
Well, I was working at a farmer's market when I was 13. I had to be there at 2 a.m. You get 1 hour of sleep, and you got to drink coffee. So, but yeah, and then of course being a history major in college, it was like just read and write and drink coffee, and then when I got into specialty coffee and realized just like all the subtle nuances and all the things you could do with it, and just it's just like an ever-changing. I mean, the crops are always different. The beans, you can always mess with the roast. We're into roasting, obviously, brewing and packaging and everything else. So there's just like a million things I can sink my teeth into with it. And on top of that, it's just like something that I still, 15 years now, I guess almost 20 years now, still love to drink, and have to stop myself from drinking. And ultimately doesn't affect my health any, really, like unless I have way too much, but
that's what I tell people.
I drink enough to probably kill some brain cells.
Well, I put all my MCT on it now. I'm feeling real good about myself. That's what I do. Ben, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and give a plug out for your guys' Instagram and everything? Get some followers.
Yeah. I'm glad you did that, because the last time I did one, I totally forgot about all that. We're Alchemy Coffee KS for all our social media stuff, and then alchemyks.com for our website.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.